welcome back to day 8 of 12 days of anime. Today I'm going to be talking about a manga that this past year has been blowing up in terms of popularity, at least in a smaller circle of people. In the grand scheme of things, I don't think this manga is that big and popular, honestly, but the manga I'm referring to, if you haven't figured it out by the title and thumbnail, is of course The Promised Neverland. Now this manga is very interesting to me, especially the world that it's set in, because it's basically set in a world where planet Earth, or some country I guess, is split into two parts. One part being humans and the other being, as they call them, demons. The demon part of Earth is kind of interesting in my opinion, because they have a select amount of humans that they use for cattle. So what I want to talk about is of course the whole cattle part that they use in the demon side, where small children are being raised simply to be eaten eventually. Because it got me thinking when I was reading this series originally, that maybe this is some kind of a parallel to vegans. You know how a vegan would consider, maybe a vegan have been thinking this, what if humans were in the same situation as cattle, where they were just raised in order to become food eventually. And this series, at least the first arc, kind of depicts what a vegan would think very well, because these children at first, they just have no idea why they're being raised. I mean, they think they're living a happy life and eventually they'll be taken into a family, live a happy life, but reality is that they will not. When they reach a certain age, the age differs depending on their intelligence level, and when they reach that set age, they will be taken to be harvested, or they will be killed and eventually be served at someone's table. That's really the end of it, and that is something that I find to be very fascinating about The Promised Neverland. Like, if this is not some kind of a parallel to veganism or whatever it's called, I'll be surprised, honestly. I don't know if it's ever going to be revealed or not, but I do believe from the depth of my heart that this is the case. And obviously in the manga, the children eventually figures out what's going on, so it's not really just depicting veganism, but rather it's depicting what would happen if cattle knew what was going on. If they learned that they were just being raised to be killed, I mean, what would they do if that was to happen? And I think it would be a very similar situation, honestly. Like, I do think that if cattle were to reach the same intelligence level as humans, they would eventually become so aware that they would want to escape and survive, and that is what makes The Promised Neverland incredible. Well, it's one of the reasons why it's so incredible. Obviously, the manga itself is just so well written as well, so it just becomes a great flowing story. It's not just about escaping, it's a lot of suspense, mysteries, revelations, and all kinds of things piled together, which makes the story of The Promised Neverland. And eventually, and this is a spoiler by the way, they do escape eventually from this place that they're at, and the story does continue, it doesn't end. The manga is not finished by any means. So if you do intend on reading this story, I recommend that. This is one of the greatest new mangas that exist out there. It's not the greatest manga in existence or anything in my opinion, but it is very good. The first arc is just superbly great, okay? It's unparalleled in my opinion, but the whole series, it's still great, just not #1. Anyway, I think I'll be ending the video here, so let me know what you think down below in the comments. Have you read The Promised Neverland? What do you think of it? If you do intend on reading it, just don't comment on this video, just go and read it, okay? And as always, if you did, be sure to Detroit smash that like button if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new to my channel. This has been your favorite host, Perm, and I will see you next time.